Have you ever had like a nightmare, or have you ever heard people describe nightmares where they're like, I had a dream for like 12 hours of my entire sleep, and it just was the same thing?
No, that's happened to me a few times.
Can you imagine if the hook guy was your dream
that
for
would
like
fucking suck.
8 hours?
I had I remember when I was younger, I used to have really long, like fucking hour-long dreams where I could remember every detail. And then you wake up and you're like, that fucking exhausts me just to even think about what.
Have you ever had a dream that traumatized you? Like actually fucked. Like I'm not kidding.
That's like half the dreams I have. Where I feel like my life is ruined by like the end of most of my dreams, and
dude.
And the relief I'm supposed to get from waking up is not enough to counteract how crappy I feel from the dream.
I think the worst dream I've ever had in my life was like 6 or 7 months ago, and it's the most realistic dream I've ever had. Wasn't funny, wasn't like, oh, and then I woke up and I was in a Walmart, and then I teleported to my high school. It was I got cancer in the dream, and it played out fucking... not like it was a dream at all. And I knew it was fucking, but I woke up, the whole dream was like half my night, and I woke up and I felt weird for like 2 days after that, because it was so real. I was like, oh my god, like I was saying goodbye to my family in the dream. It actually traumatized me. It changed my brain chemistry. I don't know what happened. I usually have fun silly dreams. I'm like, oh, I can't find my classroom in high school. And then I had a hyper.
Those dreams you're talking about, those aren't fun. Like, to me, those are the most stressful dreams.
Yeah.
I mean,
but you relief when you wake up. That dream that I'm talking about, I woke up and I was maybe more stressed out. I was like, oh my god.
Jeff, you've been mean to me before. Like,
I have.
I don't know if we ever told that story on here.
Shoot.
No, you should tell it. It's funny.
But when I first met Jeff.
That story rocks.
I met him at Newgrounds and we were getting on real good. And then he walked away from his desk for like 1 minute, and I went on his computer and I left myself a review as Jeff saying, this cartoon kicks ass. And he got really fucking mad. Then he went on my account and he fucking hacked me. You didn't hack me. You went on my account.
You left. You went home and you left yourself logged in on one of the computers. So I said, all right. I rubbed my hands together and I'm like, time for some payback. And I wrote a huge confessional that Chris O'Neill, was coming out of the closet. And then Chris didn't... I guess I did that while Chris was in the air on the plane, so he couldn't do shit about it.
I don't know if I told this story. I feel like I might have. It's also kind of on topic, because we're playing a Sonic game, but my dad... it's also kind of my dad's fault that I was even into the shit to begin with.
Oops.
But there's this thing called PAL Comics.
Yeah. And
I had downloaded a bunch of the comics because I was going to practice drawing like the porn. Like I was going to practice drawing the bodies and like learning anatomy and also jerking off to it later.
Yeah.
And my dad had brought the computer to a guy, like an IT guy, and he confronted me about it. And the guy had fucking printed off the pictures, and there was like 10 pictures of these like really bad.
He printed off your porn?
Yeah, and
what a loser.
And he gave them to my dad, and my dad gave them to me. And he's like, "Do you want to talk about this?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, I downloaded that." he was expecting this like long pep talk.
What do you expect?
But I smacked him with like, "Oh yeah, no, I downloaded that. I'm sorry." And he's like, "Oh, don't do it again." And that was it. It was conversation over.
Man, I remember one of the very first times I went on a porn spree when I was like pretty young. My mom and dad found a bunch of history. And
dude, once you learn how to delete history,
I didn't know about history. Like they fucking kicked my feet out from underneath me. They're like, "Chris, come into the kitchen," right? No. And these
stories make me fucking.
They sit me down and they're like, "So we're noticing some weird looking things in the history here," and it was very vague. All of the websites weren't called like "man fucks woman." It was all like stuff like. It was just weird, vague words I can't even remember. But they're like, "Chris, if we click on this, it's not going to be anything bad, right?" And I was like. No. And then they were like, they stopped and they paused for like 5 seconds. And my heart was pounding and sweating, and it was like, okay, and I deleted it. They didn't even click on it. I was like,
oh my god!
Why did they not click on it just to fuck with me? I don't understand. I would have done it. What?
I gotta tell you the first. Oh no, death chamber. All right, well it's time to turn my brain off. This place fucking sucks. Okay, so I gotta tell this story. So the first time I found out about like history and that you can't delete it.
You can delete it.
Well, I didn't know that how you search through like the address bar, it like saves it permanently unless you do a certain thing.
Yeah.
So what ended up happening was like, I was with my sister. We were just fucking around. This is weird to even think I was with my sister, and I was with my sister, and we were just like typing in things like poop and pee and shit in like in the search engine, and then we typed in like gay men and like fucking dicks and stuff. And with the first website is like cowboys and stuff, and we were like laughing, but it was like really like low quality like websites and shit, and it was like the kind of stuff you'd see on NeoGAF, and I didn't know that the literal search term of gay men would be in the address bar. When my dad opened the fucking search term for Google, so
Oh no.
he called me and he's like, "Cork, get in here." And he typed in Google and gay men appeared. He had the website with the gay cowboys like pulling the pants slightly down, and I'm like, oh shit. And I was like, fuck. And he's like, what is this? What's the meaning of this? And then, since it was me and my sister, I was like, we didn't know. He's like, oh, you were both doing this? And he's like, oh, you're looking for penises and shit? And we were also laughing, so he's getting really pissed.
Yeah.
But, oh my god. It's just so funny. You never realize that, like, a letter will be associated with the fucking search term. Oh god, it was so funny.
It's hilarious.
And a paperclip.
Julian, did you get my butterscotch?
I got that big sack of candy. My birthday was
Was it
this
good?
week.
happy
And Chris,
birthday, Julian.
Chris sent me a big bag of candy.
Julian, was it the good candy? Because can I tell you the story about the guy who was
Yeah,
getting...
tell us your adventure.
I
He fell down the stairs and made boom boom.
No, I postmated it, and the guy was like, "What's peanut brittle?" And I'm like,
What?
I'm like, I don't know. I'm not from America. I don't know. And he's like, you need to tell me what peanut butter brittle is. I'm like,
Peanut butter.
I go on Google, I search it, I find it instantly, and I'm like, here, this is peanut brittle. Also,
Peter
butter brittle.
So it's like,
This is people-
I don't know what the service is. Like a person just goes to the store to pick you up stuff.
Yeah, it's like Uber for getting you shit.
Okay.
But I'm like, yeah, so it's this. I sent him a jar of peanut butter brittle. He's like, I looked everywhere, I can't find it. I'm like, okay, just get him anything peanut related. And he's like, okay. And then he calls me back, he's like, I asked the store, and they said that they don't have peanut butter brittle. I'm like, yes, I know. Get him anything peanut butter related. He's like what? And I'm like, Reese's Pieces. He's like, I know where I can find that. And he like drove to another store and
I
he's
sent
like,
you a photo of a dumpster.
no, he drove to another store and he's like, I can't find peanut butter brittle. I'm like, yes! Get peanut butter related shit! And he's like, oh yeah. And he's like, I found peanut butter Reese's Pieces, but they're very big. And I'm like,
They
okay.
make my teeth hurt.
They don't taste good. And I'm like, fucking idiot! Just get him anything peanut butter related. Go to a 7-Eleven, please! And then he finally did it, and then I think he was like, I can't find the house. I'm like, fucking Christ! I think in the end it took him 2 hours when it was supposed to take him 30 minutes.
They sent you a photo and his leg no clip through the door and he's stuck.
He sank into the peanut butter. I can't get out.
His ragdoll went out of control.
I'm like, Mister, I'm gonna rate you 7 out of 6.
I'm gonna give you a big tip.
I'm gonna give you a virus. Postmates virus.